You're alive. I'm just gonna try and figure this out.
One second. 1 second. All right, what's going on, guys? What's going on? Looking big today? Thanks. What is bro eating? Some beef jerky. This is not for you. Why don't you go live on TikTok that much anymore? Just been doing workouts without lives recently. No, go. Not for you. You need to leave. Go. Keep going. Give him a little piece, then he won't leave. Any advice to stop binging? No. Go. Basically, when it comes to binging, what you need to do is you need to go into hunger management mode. A lot of times people mistake binging for something other than what it is. They're like, oh, you don't understand. Like binging, it's just cravings. It's not actually hunger. It's like, you don't understand. Like, I'm not hungry. No, it's hunger. So you have to go into severe hunger management mode. And once you've done that, then it's going to make it much, much easier for you to figure out what causes your triggers, what's going on. But if you're not trying to actually manage your hunger on a significant level, you're going to be binging a lot. How is not eating so hard for people? So, all right, imagine this, okay? Imagine you are in a stage where you have starved yourself for a super, super long period of time. Like, imagine the most ravenous that you've ever been, and then imagine having to live with that 24/7. Like, some people, their hunger signaling is just ridiculously strong. They will just think about food all day long. They won't be able to concentrate on the conversations they're having. They won't be able to get focused on the work that they're trying to have. Their sleep will suck. Like it's just like their entire being is consumed by the thought of eating. So a lot of times people who have never been in that phase before really won't understand it. They're like, oh, well, just don't eat. It's like, well, yeah, but you're absorbed with the thought of eating constantly. Do I play Fortnite? I played Fortnite yesterday, actually. Me and my brother-in-laws, we play together sometimes. I was 525 pounds 2.5 years ago at 250 pounds now. Congratulations. My hunger signals were crazy, but also I had an eating disorder, so there's that. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, man. I think people often just sweep legitimate issues under the rug, but no, they got to be addressed. When bringing on new clients, how do you go about planning their diet that's specific for them? Honestly, it's not that complicated. So, I have like an overarching theme of diets that I provide people with, where all I do is I figure out what kind of diets are nutrient dense in general, and then I figure out what the person likes and I just work within it. It's not as complicated as people want it to be. So, yes, nutrition is super important, but once you've got it on lock, then it's just autopilot. What role do you think dopamine from food plays? I mean, it plays a huge role. Any tips for self-regulating form? I struggle a lot to do this even when recording sets. So honestly, recording is your first option, but then what you have to do is you have to put stricter rules on yourself. So when you're trying to regulate form, what you should do is you should watch the set back, go do the set. Watch the set back, go do it. But what happens is people only start recording when they get to like their heaviest sets. And then when you get to your heaviest sets, your body often tries to just be efficient and just tries to get the movement done. So what you need to do, what I typically have people do is I have them scale back the weight and I say, if you get 15 reps, who cares? I just want you to focus on doing your form cleanly for those 15 reps. And then from there, okay, you can do it now. All right, let's increase the weight from there. Are you upgrading your PC? What's wrong with my PC? I don't know how to pronounce your name, but thank you, Arav, Pasad, Arav. Thank you. How about the opposite, those who don't eat enough? It's just tight hunger signaling. So if you are somebody who struggles to eat enough, it's just hunger signaling is a little bit more tightly managed with you. And everybody's kind of on a spectrum when that comes to that. Like lots of things, it's on a spectrum. But your ghrelin and your leptin signaling is just tighter. So if I've seen, I'll give you an example. If you guys know who Nutrition Narc is, no, leave. No treats for you. Go. So if you guys know who Nutrition Narc is, I remember it was like going out to eat with him at Applebee's, and I was coming off of a show prep, so I was really hungry. So I ate I ate whatever my 3,000 calorie meal was, and then cleaned up all the leftovers at the table from everybody else. Meanwhile, he ordered a 900 calorie meal, saying he was really hungry, ate half of it, and then packed the rest for later. So it's like what you have there is you just have people whose hunger signaling is much more tightly managed. And then for them, they might get full off of a few bites and feel good and feel stuffed, but obviously you're not necessarily stuffed. You just feel that way because there's very, very tight signaling between this and this. Nothing, just curious. Have you already had it upgraded? I don't know. My wife does all the computer stuff. It looks nice. I like it. Any tips for fiber intake? Eat more fruits and vegetables? I mean, sure, you could go, I guess, artificially inflate your fiber intake by eating low cal wraps and stuff like that because they have like 15 grams of fiber per wrap. But ultimately, I think you should just get more fruits and veg in your diet. I'm a fan from Brazil. I'd like to know your opinion about Jeff Nippard being involved with fake natties. So I watched, I didn't watch much of it, but I watched some of that video from Jeff, and I immediately know, get out of here and take your toy. But I immediately knew that he was going to be in really hot water with a bunch of people because because the minute you start calling somebody natural, if a large percent of the population doesn't believe that person is natural, they immediately start to go after you. So I saw him make that video. I was like, oh, I mean, you can do it, but at the end of the day, he's going to have he's going to have a good, well-respected channel regardless, but there are going to be a lot of people, if they don't believe those people, who are automatically going to reflect their thoughts of those people onto him. Can you explain how you can gain muscle and lose fat at the same time? I was at 124 kilograms and now I'm 108. I mean, it's pretty simple. Muscle building and fat loss are two separate processes. All you have to do in order to understand this is think about gaining weight, right? So let's say I put myself into a 2,000 calorie surplus per day, or I'm going to gain a ton of fat. Let's say I didn't even lift during that time. Could I lose muscle while gaining fat? Unquestionably, yes. Like I stop working out, I'm not going to gain muscle, even though I'm eating in a 2,000 calorie surplus. I'm actually going to lose muscle while gaining weight. Same thing in the opposite direction. So as long as you are able to do what you need to do in order to progress in the gym, get enough protein, get proper sleep, whatever else, you're going to be able to build muscle while losing fat. It's just that process can become more difficult because obviously less food intake, you might have less energy in the gym, or you might have less protein, or you might not be sleeping as well. So it's like those are the things that keep you from building muscle, not the deficit in and of itself. Causation correlation. Big miss from a lot of people on that front. When's the trail collab? Don't know. Don't know. Hopefully soon. How was your training when you were playing soccer? It kind of sucked. When I look back at the training that I did while playing soccer, it was incredibly inefficient. If I knew what I knew now, man, my training would have been so much better. How big are your arms, by the way? I believe they could have shrunk. I don't know. But the last time I checked, I think they were around, at least my right arm was around 18. Actually, I don't know if I've ever measured my left arm, but I think my right arm was around 18. Probably inflated it a little bit though. That was probably me like, oh, well, I can get a better angle, you know? Definitely over 17. We'll say that. Being skinny is probably better for soccer. Doesn't mean you can't train smarter, right? There was still stupid training that I was doing because I didn't understand how to be efficient with my training. What's the bread and butter you built your tri with? So the most growth I ever experienced in my triceps was doing the mechanical drop set. That's why I always laugh when people are like, oh, the mechanical. I'm like, oh, it's how I built the majority of my triceps. Doesn't mean that it's the absolute best way to go, but it's how I built most of it. Is upper lower 4 times a week good for a beginner lifter? It's fine. You might need to do a little bit higher volume than you're typically seeing if you want to maximize growth, but it's fine. In the big 25-25, yeah. Do you reckon specific exercises really matter as long as you're hitting all heads? I mean, as long as you can overload it, you should be fine. Bro, there's no way they're only 18. So every time I've heard somebody say something along those lines, I immediately know that they don't know how to measure their arms. Because what the people will say that because they'll be like, but mine are 17. And I'll look at their profile and they'll be like 25 to 30% body fat. And I'll be like, well, so no, they're not. And then, or it'll be somebody who's like 6'3", and they're like, no way, they're only. It's like, your arm size is going to be relative to your height. It's much easier to have big arms as a taller person. So it's like, as soon as somebody says that, I'm like, okay, Like if you don't think 18 inches is big for a 5'9" natural athlete, I don't know what to tell you. Don't know what to tell you. Opinion on Monday roasting after your squat set. I don't know what he said. I have no idea. Do you measure from the top or the bottom? What does that even mean? You measure the circumference. It's not top or bottom. It's circumference. Is 18 big for 6'3" natty? It's okay. So it's all proportional, right? So 18 is good. Even if you're 6'3", 18 would be good, but it's not going to be like gigantic arms by any means. How much is big for 5'4"? If you're 5'4" and you have arms that are, assuming you're lean, right? See, this is a problem. Like nobody ever takes into account leanness, so they're like very hefty, and they'll be like, "Well, my arms are." I'm like, that's a lot of fat. But if you're like 5'4" and if you're 5'4" and you have over, I don't want to like be wrong because like I could not give you, I'd need to look at a 5'4" person and see what their arms were, but I would guess that if you're above 16 inches with as a 5'4" guy, you have some pretty big cannons. What is Shizzy up to these days? No idea. I know he was around 20 at some point. How connected is strength versus hypertrophy training? They're the training, or how closely are they related to each other for muscles? Because that's a different conversation. A lot of times people be like, oh, but this person's really good at deadlift and they're not like huge. I'm like, okay, well, deadlift uses a ton of different muscle groups. If you have the right leverages, you're going to be better at deadlifting than somebody else, even if you have less muscle mass. So it's like the actual act of a muscle working to go along with the amount of hypertrophy, or sorry, the size that that muscle has, very tight correlation. But what people get confused with is they get confused with limb lengths, people having better leverages for certain movements, the actual training that those people are doing because they're focusing on specific lifts, but the actual muscle mass relative to strength is much tighter than people want you to believe. What am I eating? This is jerky. Would you recommend 2 by failure or 3 by 12? Are those my only two options? So I like failure training for the most part. If you feel like you're not recovering properly and you want to leave rep in reserve, yeah, 100% do it. But I like training to failure. Doesn't mean that I'm never going to leave rep in reserve though, right? I still do leave reps in reserve where I feel it's going to be helpful. Favorite cheat meal? Probably sushi. I've gone back and forth in my head for a long time on that, but sushi is a great cheat meal. Am I a sauna boy? I've used saunas, but it's not a consistent part of my life. What's your opinion on how a martial artist should train? I train Taekwondo and just mainly do heavy compounds. So it all depends on what your goal is, right? If you're in Taekwondo and your goal is to move weight, right? Just be strong and explosive in movements, then what you really should be doing is you be training those specific movements in an explosive manner with heavy weight. So I'm not saying, like, obviously you don't want to do it so much that you compromise your form and stuff, but you want to be strong through things like rotational power. But it's like you can do heavy compounds, of course, but if your goal is to just be a larger human being to actually grow the muscle, you can train the same way as anybody else. Isn't sushi healthy? It depends on the type of sushi. Bro split is the most fun split. It's pretty fun. How much volume do you think is good for back? I don't like that question. So when people ask about volume for back, I'm like, that's kind of dumb to me because that's like asking for volume for legs. Doesn't make any sense. There's more than one muscle group in the back. So rather than asking about volume for the back, you should be asking about volume for specific muscle groups. It's always a better way to go. Do you explain how to aggressive cut in your fat loss manual? I have like YouTube videos on how to aggressive cut, so if that's something you're interested in, you could probably just look up TNF aggressive cut video. No, I'm not going to say that my opinions on things are the exact same as they were back then, but they're like, all in all, I would say it's still pretty darn similar. Thoughts on 3 times frequency? It's fine. Overrated, but fine. Do you have any training groups you recommend? No, because I've never been a part of one, right? So I think I'm hesitant when people are like, who do you recommend as a coach? Or like, what training group do you recommend? I'm like, well, I've never had a coach other than myself, and I've never been a part of a training group. So for me to recommend the training group or the coach when I've never actually had coaching or the training group makes no sense. Now, what I will say is if you overall take a look at that person and you're like, wow, that person puts out really good content. I really trust their opinion. I think they would do a really great job of this. Then yeah, that's when you say, okay, I'm going to hire that person or I'm going to go with their training group. What placing did you get when you competed? Depends on the show. The last time I competed, I won my show. But that was where I got my pro card. Not an IFBB pro card. Chill. Not that. Not on that level. No. I'm going to text Tori. Ask her to take Drax. How'd you get so smart? Genetics. No, I'm just kidding. So there's a very big difference between being smart and knowing your limitations. I think I'm good at knowing my limitations. So when people are like, well, how do you, like, you think you know everything, or how do you know? It's like, no, there's just certain areas that I have decided that I'm going to become proficient in. And in those areas, I am going to be proficient. It's just my mentality towards things. So if you were to ask me things about general finance and stuff like that, I mean, you could have a very base level understanding of finances and you would know more than me. It's just not an area I've decided to become proficient in. But when it comes to this side of things, I'm a lot more proficient. What roughly do you cover in your fat loss manual? How to lose fat. It's exactly what it says. How to lose fat and keep it off. That's what the whole manual is about. I looked up the aggressive cut vids, but didn't see any rough calorie deficit recommendations. I thought I had some of those in there, but if I didn't, it's probably because I didn't want it to be in there. Mostly because of the fact that if you tell somebody a certain number, often what will happen is they'll use that number regardless as to whether it makes sense for their situation or not. And I just don't want to be responsible for people doing really dumb things. Why do you need a whole book for that? Because people are fat. That's why. No, I honestly think sometimes it's really, really telling when people are like, why would you need like a manual for how to lose fat? It's like, because if you've ever coached, you understand that taking people through a step-by-step process as to how to do things, especially in an obesogenic environment like America is, they're going to need more than you to just tell them to eat less. I'm sorry. I know you think you're a good coach because you go into a comment section and yell at fat people and say, just eat less. Sorry, it's not that helpful. Does it make a major difference to eat all protein in one meal rather than 2 to 3 meals? It would kind of depend on what your definition. You don't need to apologize. I'm just having fun with you. It would kind of depend on your definition of major difference. So often what will happen is people will say, oh, well, X studies showed that there wasn't any significant difference when you did protein all at one meal versus protein spread out. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm probably going to hedge my bets. You know, it's like if there's any possibility that it could, we definitely know that eating your protein over multiple meals isn't worse. So if it's not worse, even if there was a possibility that MPS could be all the way up for 24 full hours, I'm still going to spread my protein out. Just like I'm not going to wait to find 10 years down the road them do a study where they gave them 180 grams of protein in one sitting, or they did 60, 60, and 60. And then I find out, oh, shoot, 180 out in one sitting wasn't as good, right? It's like, I'm not going to do that. What's your FFMI? If it's over 24, I'm getting suspicious. Well, be suspicious then, because it is over 24. Those exact studies conflate growth with MPS too, not the same. Yep. Limitations, man. Limitations. Dude, you don't need to apologize. It's all good. What do you think about one top set per muscle group training every 48 hours on upper lower? So you mean like upper lower, upper lower, upper lower, and then I guess you might not even need to take a rest there, but you mean upper lower repeated. Um, it's, I struggle with the idea of hitting only one set for a muscle group, even if I'm doing multiple sessions in a week. Now, is that saying that it's not possible for you to do well with that? No, maybe you could, but even when I only hit one set for a muscle group, I have found that sometimes I struggle to be recovered by the time 48 hours rolls around. 72 hours just seems to do wonders for me. And I could be wrong, I could be completely placeboing myself, but 72 hours just seems to work better for me in general from a mental standpoint, physical standpoint. So I just stay with it. Are potatoes a cheat code? Not as much as people would like you to believe. They're good, but honestly, I think sweet potatoes are super underrated. Isn't 25 plus FFMI elite natural? Dang, bro. So, yes and no, right? If you have an above 25 FFMI, you're going to be if you compare yourself to the average person, you're going to be very big. But once you start getting to the higher levels of bodybuilding, 25 FFMIs are just like, they're everywhere. They're very, very common. So I don't know. I struggle with that one because I'm like, I basically just stayed in the game long enough, if we're being completely honest. When I was growing up, there were people who were lifting around me who were making as good of progress, who were bigger, made faster progress, and they just stopped lifting. And then it was like, I didn't. So it was like, at 22, they were bigger, they were stronger. And then at 23, I continued to lift. They maybe lifted here and there. At 24, I continued to lift. They're starting a family, maybe like getting busy with their job. 25, I'm still lifting. It's like, and so it was like I was able to surpass a lot of people in the long run because they just stopped. But I know that there's a ton of people who, if they simply just continued, would have continued to grow. So I think there's more people that can reach 25 FFMIs than people realize. But what happens is, since so few people actually dedicate themselves to lifting for as long a period of time as people like myself have, then you see it a lot less frequently than you should. Is 22.3 FFMI for 7 months of training good? I mean, it's honestly great. Now, do you actually have a 22.3 FFMI? I would say probably not. Typically, what happens is whenever somebody says, is such an FFMI good, and it's pretty darn high, it's almost always because they've underestimated their body fat. And it can be as simple as you being off on your body fat by like 3 or 4%, and then you drop multiple points on the FFMI scale. Jobs are killing your gains. I mean, kind of, yeah. Any updates on the muscle building book you said you might make in the fat loss manual? Yeah, I'm actually I'm still working on it right now. Oh, I didn't finish my jerky. So I was working on it before this, but I'm chipping away at it. One of the things I'm struggling with, excuse me. One of the things I'm struggling with the manual is I know people are going to want me to be very absolutist, and I'm just not that personality. I know you guys think I am because you're like, oh, well, science-based. Science-based thinks there's one way to do it, one way. I really don't. And there's a lot more leeway than people realize. So there's going to be people that will read the manual, and I already know there's going to be people that read it and they're pissed because they're going to read it and be like, how dare you not say full body every other day is the best way to program? How dare you say that compound movements still have their place in solid hypertrophy training programs? How dare you not do unilateral? Like, it's like, and I know that's going to happen, which is going to be annoying, but it is what it is. Starting a family is not good for gains. You're not wrong. Okay, I'm honest. I'm not gonna lie. When somebody spams a question like that, I purposely avoid it. So if you want to ask a question here and there, feel free. But if you spam questions like that, I'm probably not even gonna read it. How do you figure macros for people? I don't know how much carbs to eat. It's really, really simple. You get your fat requirements out of the way, you get your protein requirements out of the way, and then you just fill in the rest with carbs. So typically, I tell people when it comes to figuring out your fat and your protein, if you're getting around a gram per pound, assuming you're lean, if you're not lean, then obviously that number can be lower. If you're getting around a gram per pound of protein, you're probably going to be getting more than enough. And then when it comes to your fat, I typically say somewhere around like a third of your body weight. So if you're 180 pounds, 60 grams of fat, it's a pretty reasonable number. And from there, you can just backfill the rest of the calories that you need with carbs. Opinion on Squat University content. I'm not gonna lie. I really don't watch much of it. Some of the stuff that I've seen, here's the problem, right? So imagine somebody has an entire profile and their profile is really, really good, but they mess up somewhere. And it has something to do with hypertrophy or some topic that we talk about a lot. You can almost guarantee that I'm going to get tagged in that video a lot. So I would be it would be wrong of me to base my opinion of Squat University on the videos that I've been tagged in because I tend to get tagged in things that are wrong. So, of course, everybody gets things wrong from time to time. So, the majority of stuff that I've seen from Squat U is wrong. But that's because I get tagged in wrong videos. So, I don't want to misconstrue things and be like, "Oh yeah, well his content sucks because I saw like 4 videos from him that I disagreed with." It's like, well, yeah, I mean, those are the videos I'm getting tagged in. Uh, was the Jeff Nippert hate warranted? I mean, Jeff Nippert hate is really never warranted. I'm going to be completely honest. Jeff is a good creator who's done a crap ton of good for the community in general. Really positive guy. Really nice guy too. Like, I mean, I've had I've spent time with him, and he's a really good guy. So any Jeff hate is I'm not a fan of Jeff hate. Jewers recommends 1 gram protein per pound, 14 to 20% of fat, and the rest carbs. Well, do the math. 14 to 20% of your overall calories coming from fat. It's probably going to line up somewhere in the neighborhood of what I suggested. Unless you're eating super, super low calorie. Unk acknowledges bias. If you don't acknowledge bias, can you even consider yourself science-based? Well, let's see. Let's do some quick math on this. I'll do it on the spot so I can see if it shows or not. All right, let's say you had 2,800 calories to work with in a day. All right, it's a pretty typical amount for a building phase for a guy who's relatively active and pretty big. Times 0.2 equals 560. Divide that by 9. 62 grams. Wow, that worked out way better than I expected it to. Look at that. Look at that. I literally told you guys. Crazy. Crazy, eh? Are you gonna try retatrutide? I would honestly guess if I would honestly say probably yes. I think at some point in my overall career / lifetime, I will try retatrutide. Obviously, I can't take it right now because I still want to compete in natural organizations, but I will probably take it at some point. Why mechanistically is it necessary to go close to failure? So this is what happens when you are doing a set. I should draw a line so that you guys can see it. So when you are doing a set, you're starting here, right? When you start a set, especially if you are doing a higher rep set, you're only going to start with recruiting low threshold motor units. And those are very small motor units. You recruit smaller threshold motor units, and those ones don't really have much potential to grow. The ones that have potential to grow are your higher threshold motor units, and those are obviously your larger ones. And those are the ones that get recruited as you get closer and closer to failure. So you start off recruiting the smaller, and then it gets bigger and bigger as you get closer to failure. And that's why you get more growth with sets that are taking closer to failure. Because otherwise you're not getting signals to those higher threshold motor units that you need in order to grow. I'm really curious about the side delt question. I missed the side delt question. Sorry. Anyone know if Jewers is natty? Jewers is not natty. Bro, I mean, all right. Once and for all. My goodness. Like, oh my gosh. Let me find a good shot for you guys. Okay. You guys don't understand how big this guy is, right? Like all you guys see is you're looking through a screen and all you guys see is like muscle definition. That's all you see. But you don't understand this guy is around the same height as me and has like 30 pounds on me. He's slightly taller, very slightly taller, but he has over 30 pounds on me. Like, and he's pretty darn lean. Where's the disconnect here? Come on, put the pieces together. See you in a few days, TNF. What? Oh, yeah. I didn't see who wrote that. How big are my arms when I'm lean? It's a good question. I've never actually measured my arms while being super lean, but they have to be smaller because if you're carrying fat, then the measurement. No, you're not supposed to be here. He knows when I'm not serious. It's kind of interesting. Does gear recruit more motor units than training ever will? Well, let's put it this way. Best natural athletes in the world, shredded on a bodybuilding stage, somewhere around 200 pounds. The best. Best enhanced athletes on a bodybuilding stage, we're talking like 5'9", 5'10" range, like and maybe like 5'11" max. 280 plus pounds, sometimes into the 290s. I'm gonna go ahead and say the gear does more than your training ever will. Pat him or else. Nah, he's just lucky to be here. Sorry about my previous question. I meant training upper, lower, rest, repeat with one top set per muscle group. Oh, I'd do more. If you are only training a muscle group once every 72 hours, then you should definitely do more than one set for that muscle group. Do you directly train front or rear delts? Yes. Sometimes I get sloppy and lazy with them, but yes. Thoughts on Keenan not training rear delts? It's fine. It's his prerogative. Doesn't he have pretty good rear delts? Let me take a look. What is Keenan looking like? If I remember his physique, he actually has pretty good rear delts. Not crazy good, but certainly not. Like he's got decent delts in general, so he'll probably be okay. He trains them, buddy. Oh, sorry. Not my fault. Somebody else said that. You should do a workout with Clark Kent. I would never work out with Clark Kent. I don't want to get embarrassed like that. He has no, he says no one has to train them. No one has to train any muscle group. Ooh, crazy idea. Nobody has to train any muscle group. Hi. What are you doing? We ran out. I'm sorry. I just realized you and Jeffrey almost built your tries the same way. Through extensions? You should definitely work out with Clark Kent or Lex Little. I wouldn't work out with either of them. They both make me look bad. But Clark especially. Clark has a better physique than Lex. Clark, let's be real. Clark mogs Lex. Lex would win in the legs department, but overall, Clark mogs. How to make your waist appear smaller? Learn how to do a vacuum and get some big lats. Is Clark natty? If Clark is natural, and I'm saying if because it's like at this point, if I say anybody's natural, then people freak out. So if Clark is natural, Clark has the potential to be one of the top overall naturals. If he ever decides to, and I don't mean like he'll win the natural Mr. Olympia or anything, but he has an ability to be like a top level natural pro. What makes some people pound for pound stronger? A ton of things. Fast twitch fibers, leverages, the way they train, mentality, aggression, all of it. Does vacuum really make your waist smaller? No, it just makes it look smaller. You should check Levine lifts. He's a friend of mine. Great physique. But Clark is a lot taller. So they both, I think it would be really interesting to see them next to each other. Zach might win because of the fact that I would say Zach probably has better proportions in the leg department. But I would say that if they competed, it would be very close and it would depend on what the judges favored. But yeah, Zach has a crazy good physique. That's Levine lifts, by the way. His name's Zach. Oh, what's up, Dro? What's my dog's name? Drax. Drax. Hi, buddy. Say hi to Drax, everybody. W Joey Swole Live. What does that even mean? What does that even mean? Clark Kent or Sam Sulek? Clark has a better physique, but Sam would still win. There's only so much you can do when somebody's that much bigger than you. So what happens is, while Clark would have more potential than Sam Sulek in bodybuilding if he decided to go the gear route, Sam's just too big for Clark. So if they stepped on stage next to each other, people would be like, oh. Like you'd see them next to each other, you'd be like, oh, that's the difference between somebody who's enhanced and somebody who's natural. Or somebody who's, I don't want to say, because again, I can't say Clark's natural, but, because I don't know. But that's the difference in size. Are you trying to steal my pen? What are the weapons in the back? So we have Stormbreaker, we have Twinkle, we have this one I can't remember. I don't know if it's a specific one or not. We have a lightsaber, and then we have a Nichiren sword from Demon Slayer. In your aggressive mini cut video, you mentioned liver. How do you make it not taste like crap? You go into an aggressive cut, so you're not worried about flavor anymore. That's it. But you also could, if you wanted to, your easiest way to flavor stuff when you're doing a cut that you don't like is just to use low-calorie sauces. Bert was a jacked nerd. He's him. I appreciate it. You need to get the Master Sword from Legend of Zelda. Might have to add it to the collection. Favorite anime? Attack on Titan. Yes, I know it's basic, and anybody who thinks that thinks that it's a bad pick just because other people have it, you are not a thinker. Because you can like something that everybody else likes and it still be a good pick. Have you ever thought about taking peptides for general health, like ones that aren't banned from Natty Bodybuilding? They're all banned. So if you actually pay attention to the way that the organizations have, the way that they've talked about peptides, so if you ever go to a WADA banned list, the way they talk about peptides is they essentially say peptide hormones are banned. And then they'll name a couple and they'll say, but not limited to, and that's their way of essentially saying all peptide hormones are banned. Coach me, I really think I could do good in bodybuilding. Well, I don't know. If that's the case, schedule a consult and sign up for coaching. Like, if you, I don't know, if you make a consult and we talk it through and I take you on as a client, then we'll be good. But no, I'm not taking you on for free, man. I'm sorry. How do I do that? So if you go over to my link tree, I have options for consultations, coaching, etc. But I'm not gonna lie, I have not been checking my I've not been checking the applications for coaching just because we've been busy and it's like I'm not going out of my way for things. But if you happen to schedule a consult, then obviously you can push yourself up that line. I didn't say free, Brotato. Well, I figured if you were looking for coaching, you would have already looked through my coaching links, and because they're all there. You should coach me for free. When I win the Olympia, you'll be rich too. If only it worked that way. If only it worked that way. If somebody sends me a physique update and asks me to coach them, and I legitimately believe they have the potential to be a Mr. Olympia, I will coach them for free. I will 100% coach them for free. Bros had the same graph in the back for months. Yeah, because people are dumb and they need it told to them over and over again. I don't use that whiteboard. How can I reach you? So if you schedule the phone consult, then we can talk it through. But just so you know, like, you should look at the prices for coaching first. Because I want you to sign up for a consult. We get on the phone, you're like, oh, that's too much. So look at the prices for coaching first. What about that King Kong kid? He's good. I mean, he won't be a Mr. Olympia by any means, but obviously he has a great physique. There's just a difference in level between the people that have the capability of an Olympia title and people who don't. He'll be great though in the future. I mean, he's already really good, if we're being completely honest. Hook Clark up, get him to the Olympia. Clark would be an interesting one. I don't know if he. Let me take a look at Clark. It would come down to the legs. I have to know what his legs look like. Because upper wise, I think he does have the capability to compete at the top level. But let's see the legs. I don't know, man. I don't know. The legs might be tough. His legs are massive. They're okay. They're okay. So there's a difference. There's a big difference between good legs and elite level legs. And his legs are not there yet. I mean, maybe they could be in the future. Who knows? You need time to tell, but where somebody asked a question that I meant to answer. Shizzy is also elite level natural. No. At least not currently. Shizzy is not. His proportions aren't quite there. So Shizzy's got great arms, great chest. But if you take a look at the overall physique and then you put him next to top level naturals, he hasn't broken into that top level. All right, let me see. Clark versus Lex. Just show the physique. Nobody cares about the lifts. Okay. Oh. Lex is showing his legs. Why is Clark not showing his legs? Come on. Oh, there it is. Found it. Wait. Let's see. I mean, I know Lex has bigger legs. I'm just trying to see how big the difference is. Oh, shoot. It's going too fast. Come on. Oh, there it is. All right. Yeah. Yeah, Lex's legs are big. My goodness. What got you into bodybuilding? Um, so it was a few years ago. I was so first off, I was already coaching other people for bodybuilding, but the only reason I ever actually stepped on stage was because I got pretty lean for a photo shoot. Somewhat. I should like not like shredded, but like pretty lean for a photo shoot for Echo. And the people who were there were like, dude, why don't you just go compete? And I'm like, not really my thing. And they're like, no, like do it, like go compete and see what happens. And then I did, and people really liked watching the journey. So, do you think Julian XFit has more potential than Ronnie? No, no. Can you take a look at Gokulof's physique? I have. He's got a pretty insane physique. What's the background graph? Oh, that's just an explanation of thermodynamic maintenance. What's the biggest misconception you see the science-based lifting community repeating? Have to be careful on that because I don't want to offend people. I don't want to offend people. I'd rather you just ask me about specific ideas than me be like, this is the biggest one. I'd rather you just ask me about specific concepts and I can give you my honest opinion on them. Who would you say is a top level natural currently? The problem is, if you start labeling top level naturals, the minute you do, people are going to be like, they're not natural. And then they get mad at you. So I'm like, okay, like, what do you want from me at this point? Because there's lots of people who compete naturally who you would not believe are natural. And so it's like, okay, well, where do we draw the line? At what point do I say, okay, well, I believe this guy, but I don't believe this guy, but this guy beat this guy, but I don't believe that he's natural. And it just becomes a whole thing. Very, very annoying. What do you think of Marcus Brown? Are you the person that keeps asking me about Marcus Brown? I have no idea who Marcus Brown is. Why haven't you competed recently? Because one, I wanted to actually recover because I've been dieting for so long, like on and off, that it's really, really hard to compete every single year and to get shredded every single year. It takes a toll on you. So I wanted to get out of that and actually like get to feeling good again. And then two, my knee is like not the best. So I don't want to step back on stage with the same physique that I had previously in any department. If I step back on stage again, I want to step back on stage better in every single department. And right now, I know my legs are not up to snuff. I want to be a top level natural, but never compete. Well, that's dumb. Oh, by the way, if you spam questions, I don't answer. So, does finasteride ruin your gains? Okay, so interesting conversation with finasteride. I took finasteride for how long was I taking it for? Like 3 months or something like that. I took a finasteride, I took minoxidil, a mixture of the two, and it worked well. I mean, like my hair was coming back in, things were going well. I joined up with Merrick Health, and they did some initial blood testing to see like what I need to do for my hair treatment in general. And when they did my levels, my DHT was tanked. So finasteride tanked my DHT levels. So what they said was, all right, we're going to put you on our own mixture. And so I started taking their mixture, and then my DHT levels came back up. So and this is the way they explained it to me. This could be a wrong explanation, so please don't get mad if I explain it wrong. But they said that their mixture doesn't go systemic when it comes to DHT, but it just, because it's topical, but it just affects the DHT actually on your scalp. So my DHT on my scalp would technically be very low, but my DHT systemically is fine. So that mixture has been good because obviously, like, I want my DHT levels to be up a little bit. Who the heck is Poggers? What is Poggers? How bad is getting competition lean for longevity health? I don't know. I know it's not good for you, but how bad it is, I wouldn't know. It's over, Unk. What's over? Do you do everything the same for men and women? No. Women have to be treated a little bit differently. All right. I'm sorry. I'm old, guys. I'm old. ChatGPT, help me out. What is Pogger? What? The way that it's using it here doesn't seem to make sense in context. I'm lost. I thought you start balding again if you stop taking finasteride. Well, you would if you didn't take a mixture that was actually like gonna do the same thing that the finasteride was doing. So I got an updated mixture that is taking care of things. It has the same pathway, right? So the finasteride decreases your DHT levels. The stuff that I'm currently taking also decreases your DHT levels, but it decreases it on the scalp rather than systemically. So it's going to have the same effects. Poggers is like dope or cool. Oh, okay. So ChatGPT did know. Just the way the guy used it, I didn't seem like he was using it in that way. Bro, I didn't mean it. I tried to be cringe. That's your problem, not mine. You said I was cool. Funniest minority to be racist towards. I'm sorry, but I don't ascribe to that stuff. This chat is brain rot, kind of. Yeah. Welcome. And your first time. What's my opinion on the Joey Swole stuff? Bro, I'm just watching it from a distance and I'm like, ooh. And then something else, I'm like, ooh. I'm like, ooh. Rule number 1, when you're in a hole, stop digging. And that did not happen. Are you going to oil up for us in this stream? Maybe. We'll see. Did you see Mundy's best races to be racist to list? No, I did not. Unsolicited PP pics, bro. So, okay, here's the thing. Because being in this industry, I hear stuff about other people all the time. Like, you would not believe the amount of gossip and rumors that happen between creators about other people. It's unreal. So whenever I hear something, unless I can confirm that it actually happened, I will not ever be like, oh yeah, and they did this. Like, I'm never gonna do that. So when I saw stuff like that, I was like, really? But nobody had like any tangible proof. So like, I'm never gonna accuse beyond what is already provable. Da, da, da. He always oils up. We're just not early enough to the live. It's true. Monday's list is why I asked you. Oh, well, I didn't see it, so sorry. When should I do drop sets? The only time that I would say drop sets really make any sense is when you're limited on time and you enjoy them. That's really about it. Like, and that's said as somebody who has done plenty of drop sets in his career. So I'm not saying you can't do them. I'm just saying that those are the times when it makes sense. Have you tried cable upright rows focused on the delts? I have. I'm not a big fan of upright rows. I would rather just do lateral raises. What's the worst part of lifting, in your opinion? Injuries. If I could know that I was not going to get injured when I went into the gym, I honestly feel like if I could know with 100% certainty when I went into the gym that I was not going to get injured, that I'd be bigger than I am. Because I would like, there'd be like an extra level that you could unlock. Do a front double? No. No. Have I benched 405 yet? No. I haven't gone for it in a very long time. So I would guess if I had to just like, if I had to give my best guess, I think that with no direct training for it, I could probably get myself to a 4. Actually, I haven't been doing any presses. So like, there's still some neurological adaptation, because sometimes people are like, oh, well, if you haven't been like, you weren't doing bench press before, so you couldn't hit it, but you don't do bench press now, but even if you're a little bit bigger, then you should be able to hit it now. I'm not doing any presses at all. Where when I went for a 405 bench in the past, I was still doing presses just on machines. So there's still some level of neurological adaptation there. Whereas now I'm not doing any presses. So I would guess that I would not even be, I would guess I probably can't even hit 365 right now. If I just went in and warmed up and tried to go for it, I doubt I could even hit 365. Now, obviously with some training, it's a different story, but 405 is, I don't think it's there yet. I don't think it's there. Have you seen Jonathan Warren crapping on you for quitting presses? I have. Jonathan Warren often goes outside of his lane. He's fun to watch. I've seen some of his stuff, and honestly, some of his stuff is not bad. But then I watch some other stuff, and I'm like, bro, this is the most pseudo-intellectual stuff I have ever seen. But he did some work with like PRI, I think, the Postural Restoration Institute, and now everything is about like, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is on the level of like herbal essences, but sorry, maybe not quite there, but a lot of his stuff doesn't, to put it bluntly, a lot of his stuff is not real. I just watched a video. It's actually funny that you bring him up, because I just watched a video from him literally today, I think it was, where he was talking about quad development. And this is the thing, like, this is how you know somebody cannot remain logically consistent. If you watch him talk about development, he will critique somebody who has massive, absolutely gigantic quads, and he'll say they're training wrong. And then he'll be like, they should be doing this. and then he'll critique somebody else who's about the like. So what he did was he critiqued. Hey, haha, watched it too. Okay, perfect. So what he did was he critiqued Nick Walker and said that he was training his quads wrong, right? And then what he did was he critiqued Mundy and said Mundy was training his quads wrong, and then went on to crap on Mundy's legs and say, "Are you really going to listen to a guy who has legs like this?" I'm like, "What? You just but you just critiqued Nick Walker, who has 10 times the size of legs of yours. So are we going to listen to you over Nick Walker?" Like it was the most obvious in the same video case of oxymoronic thinking. I was like, what on earth is happening right now? Oh yeah, and then he went to Tom Platz, and obviously Tom Platz had the biggest quads in his time period, so Tom Platz must have like known what he was doing, and his stuff was like a little bit better, and that's why. And I'm like, literally, Nick Walker has bigger quads than Tom Platz ever did. So what now? It's like, oh my gosh. Would you make a video with Will Tennyson? I would drag myself across the Sahara Desert with no water for 10 days in order to make a video with Will Tennyson. So yes, I would. You missed a donation, Unk. Shoot, did I? Where is it? My bad, Caden. Should I keep cutting at 6 foot, 144 pounds, male? So if you're 6 foot and 144 pounds, I'm going to suggest that you probably don't have a lot. I mean, I shouldn't say that. You don't have a lot of muscle. And you probably have enough potential muscle to gain that if you simply just kept your weight at around 144 pounds for the next little while and just continued to progress in the gym, you would just see your body composition get better and better at 144 pounds until it gets to the point where now you actually have to increase your weight in order to continue growing. He also said squats are better than leg extensions for quads. Yeah, I mean, there's not really like I would say that if you have the right, I think people miss out on parts of the conversation when it comes to squats and leg extensions. All right. So I think squats are better for quads than people let on. And when I say squats, obviously I mean like a stable squatting pattern. I think they're better than people realize simply because, so like, let's take a hack squat, for example. If you do it properly, you can get so incredibly stable with it that I think the stability, and assuming you have like good overall knee tracking and everything, can make up for the fact that there's other muscle groups that also get involved, to the point where it can be like a similar level to something like a leg extension. Now, obviously, the more stable you can make your leg extension, the better. But people are very, very big on isolating right now, which means that people are going to be like, how could you possibly say that? I'm not saying that it's going to be better, but I think they would be far closer to each other than you would realize. If flies are enough for a chest, then are extensions enough for quads? So I would say quads are a little bit different because there's more muscle groups going on, and then there's also more things to consider as far as like so like leg extension, right? Can't get the same knee bend as you can when you're doing a squat, right? Your squat can allow you to get a deeper knee bend. They also have to take into account the fact that the leg extension hits more rec fem, and then you have to take a look at possible differences in regional hypertrophy based on the overall pattern. Now, is it for sure going to turn out that way? No, but we at least have a little bit of literature suggesting regional hypertrophy differences when you do a short position movement versus a more lengthened position movement, i.e., squatting versus a leg press. Sorry, squatting versus a leg extension. So I think it would be premature to say that. For one, I think it's definitely premature to like try and say that you're just going to vault all knee patterns that are more mid to lengthen position biased. But I think it's also short-sighted to say, oh, well, leg extensions cause more growth. It's like we haven't seen that borne out in literature. And yes, I do actually like having outcome literature. I know, crazy. How dare I? How dare I not solely rely on mechanism? I actually do like having outcome literature as well. And I don't think that there's been solid enough outcome literature to say with 100% certainty that a leg extension is going to cause more growth than than a squat pattern. Not squats, right? But a squat pattern. Regional hypertrophy anecdote. It's not an anecdote, Tyler. It's a study. Did you literally just hear me say regional hypertrophy differences and assume that I was talking about anecdote? No, it's a study. So like us literature. My goodness. Why internally rotate on pec deck if it leads to more activation in anterior delt and bicep brachii? Because it's like next to nothing as far as the biceps go, and it's a lot more comfortable. So, yeah, Tyler, you better gulp. Top 3 squats for quad growth: hack squat, pendulum squat, and technically speaking, not really a squat, but I actually like doing things where you shoot your knees out over the toes a decent amount with things like a hack squat. So if you take a look at like the Tom Platz hack squat, the way that he would do it, where he would do like the duck-footed thing, I really like that. Is that gray hair we see? I'm kidding. Well, you don't have to be kidding. Pretty sure I have some gray hair. No belt squat. I've never liked belt squats, to be honest. No, I'm not saying you can't, but I personally don't really like I personally don't like belt squats. If I finish an aggressive cut, can I jump to a little surplus? I wouldn't. People finish their cutting phases and they get so excited to start a surplus that they just way overshoot and then they gain back a ton of fat. So I would say if you're going to come out of a cut, especially an aggressive cut, go to maintenance for a little bit, actually get yourself settled out before you decide to increase calories. What about somersault squats? So I like the idea behind somersault squats. Just sometimes they can be a little bit awkward to set up. So as long as you have a good setup, great, fantastic. It's just as long, you just got to make sure that your setup is decent. What about hamstring curls versus hinges? Again, differences in growth. So I'm pretty sure there was something released somewhat recently, if I remember correctly. Let me take a look. Where what they did was it wasn't it was a Nordic hamstring curl and it was an SLDL, and they compared the two, and what you saw was similar overall growth for the hamstrings in terms of overall growth, but there were differences in which hamstring muscles grew more than others. So again, regional hypertrophy differences. Let me see. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, there it is. Yeah, so what it was yeah, so the Nordic hamstring curls were better for the semitendinosus, and the SLDLs were more effective for the semimembranosus. So, interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. What about hamstring curls versus hinges? Didn't I just answer that? I have an alternative SLDL in my mind. It's on a machine named Animal ISO Linear Row. Animal ISO Linear Row. I actually think I know. What you're referring to, but let me check just to make sure. Animal isolinear row. Yeah. Yeah, that would work very well, in my opinion. Now, the only issue you might run into is if it pulls you up off of the back pad that you're sitting on. If it doesn't, then you should be fine. It should work really well. But if it does pull you off of it, obviously, like, you would want something to hold the hips down. In your minimalist program you posted, why did you choose chest supported row instead of lat pull down? What minimalist program? Oh, you mean, okay, you're talking about that TikTok video where I said, like, if I could only do like a few exercises, because a chest supported row hits more muscle. So a lat pull down is going to do a better job of biasing the lats, but a chest supported row is going to do a better job of hitting the lats and the traps. If we had to take a look at the overall stimulus, a chest supported row is going to do more. Is 16 sets in an upper body session too much? In my opinion, no. I know some people would say that's too much. I don't think so. Thanks for letting me borrow the Lambo, Unk. Dude, I'm not M. M's the one with the Lambo. M's got a Lambo, 2 Ferraris, and 2 Porsches, if I'm not mistaken at this point. Honestly crazy. Will you call bodybuilding in general over? Huh? Do you mean when will I stop competing? Why is Fawn's prep so long? Better question is, why do you not think it should be so long? Are all these better than a Corvette? Yes. As far as I know. I haven't looked into the Porsches themselves, but the Lambo and the 2 Ferraris are definitely. Cause he natty. What on earth does that have to do with the length of his prep? People on gear can cut faster with less risk than people who are natural. What do you mean? Like, that makes no sense. How long are you going to keep doing this for? Doing what exactly? Do you think placing smaller muscle groups at the end of a session affect their rate of growth negligibly? Hard to say. Hard to say. I mean, it's pretty obvious from the stuff, from everything that we've seen, that the things that get placed last get less growth. Especially when it's like, okay, so if you take, let's put it this way, if you take everything to failure, then the stuff that comes at the end of the session is 100% going to get less growth. Now, when you say negligible, it's like, okay, what do you mean by negligible? Do you mean, is it going to be noticeable to the eye? Do you mean, is it going to be noticeable to instruments? Is it statistically significant? It's like, if you know there's a difference, at that point, you just try to avoid those differences if possible. Been stuck trying to progress lying leg curls for 3 to 4 weeks. Should I change it? So people have this weird mentality where if they're struggling to progress an exercise, they change the exercise. I'm like, you've completely missed the point. If you're struggling to progress an exercise, you don't change the exercise. You figure out, why can I not progress the exercise? Changing the exercise is not the solution. The solution is to figure out, why am I not growing enough muscle to continue progressing this exercise? Now, for me, if I'm progressing my hamstring curl every 3 to 4 sessions, I'm ecstatic. I'm ecstatic about that. Like that would be really, really good for me because at this point, I'm just trying to eke out any possible gains. How long are you going to keep doing YouTube and TikTok? Till I'm 90. I don't know. We'll see. Didn't realize how many people actually call you Unc. Yeah, it's a bit of a epidemic. What do you think of the new South Park episodes? I have not seen them. Bro never fails to provide satisfying answers. I appreciate that. Can you explain the importance of arm path on an incline press? I mean, it's honestly, it's simpler than people want it to be. Everybody like this whole like, I think people have gotten so caught up with things like leverage that they fail to just look at the muscle group. I'm like, okay. Everybody's like talking about leverage and stuff. I'm like, okay. So the upper chest, the clavicular head starts here and goes up to here. So if I want to lengthen and shorten that, this motion right here makes a lot of sense. What was my high school GPA? We didn't do GPAs in. I think we converted it over when I came over to the U.S. Because like you have to in order to apply to American schools. And I mean, I had a 4.0, but high school's a joke, so doesn't really mean much. Yeah, I'm Canadian. Do you not like getting called Unc? I mean, I don't care about getting called Unc. Doesn't bother me. What did I eat today? Beef jerky. Beef jerky. My parents brought beef jerky yesterday, and it needed to be finished off, so I ate beef jerky today. Yep. And there's still more too. I'm just trying to finish it off. I just ate a shrimp tail for you. Thank you. Where did I live before the US? Canada. Only beef jerky? No, I had Rice Krispie treats before the gym, so Rice Krispie treats and beef jerky. What do you think of the Real Good chicken? It's real good. Dumb joke. It's okay. It's okay. You don't worry about the nitrates in that crap? Bro, we're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. I'll be okay. Also, it's made at Buc-ee's. Let me see. I bet you Buc-ee's doesn't even have nitrates in theirs. Quality Texas beef, I bet. Let's see. Buc-ee's nitrates beef jerky. Oh, shoot. It does have nitrates. I'm screwed. I'm screwed. I'm just calling it, guys. It's over. It's over. No, I think people who spend their time focusing on things like that are often, how should I put it? I don't want to be mean. Let's just say I'm not consuming nitrates on a consistent enough basis for me to be concerned. Death just increased by 0.1%. Yeah, seriously. You're literally at a higher risk for skin cancer. That sucks. Sucks. Leave it up to Brian Johnson to care. Everyone else live. Exactly. I just started trying upper lower to test it out. Any advice going into it? Not really. I know that sounds very unhelpful, but not really. Give it a go. See if you like it. I refuse to fall for the TikTok cream of rice propaganda. Sorry, man. I don't eat cream of rice. I've actually never had cream of rice ever in my life. Is magnesium L-threonate a waste of money? That's one that I'm like, I feel like you'll probably be fine with just a regular magnesium supplement. See, I get it for free because I get it from Echo. It's like it's Higher Up Wellness's signature product from Echo, but I get Echo product for free. So like I consume magnesium L-threonate every day, but not because it's magnesium L-threonate, just because I get it for free. Cream of rice is great. It's terrible. Wow. It looks like we got lots of thoughts. Lots of thoughts. Is Lyle McDonald's rapid fat loss similar to your mini cuts? I have no clue. I have no clue. So I didn't watch any of Lyle McDonald's stuff until like the last couple years. Like I'd heard the name before and I knew he existed, but it wasn't until like these last couple years where people would start sending me clips of his that I saw anything from him. Saw your new YouTube video about a second version of SLDL. When I do them, I don't feel my hamstrings. Any tips? Well, stop worrying about feeling and just do the exercise. Shoot. I saw a question that I meant to answer. I can't find it. Dang. I missed it. Sorry. Do you believe David Lade's transformation between 14 to 17 was done naturally? No. Could it have been? Maybe. Do I think it was? No, probably not. What's Ahmed laughing at? What's Ahmed Turkey laughing at? Imagine having the name Ahmed Al Turkey. Great name. Great name. "120 grams of fat, 200 grams protein, 100 carbs, went from 250 to 185 pounds. My testosterone still tanked. Why?" I don't know. I don't know your life. People do exercises and can't feel it and wake up tomorrow in pain. Yep. Or no pain, and they still grow. People just get far too worried about sensation. Are you and Ben Yanes not following each other anymore? Did Ben Yanes remove me? What? What? I love how you guys come on here just trying to start drama. Ben Yanes. I must have said something bro didn't like. Because bro was definitely following me. I was never following him, but he was definitely following me. Advice for CNS fatigue and exertion headaches? Very different things. CNS fatigue, you're probably overdoing your training. Exertion headaches, I don't get potassium. Potassium's usually my go-to when it comes to exertion headaches. Jeez, Ahmed Al-Turki got so upset that I made fun of his name that he reverted to another language. That's crazy. That's crazy. Where in Canada did I live? So I typically don't tell people where I was actually from because they don't know it, but I guess you guys all have access to the internet right now. So I was from Straffordville, Ontario. Look up Straffordville, Ontario. But I lived out in the woods, so I was like maybe 4 minutes outside of there. If you want a lot of views, do a 10K calorie challenge with Will Tennyson. It'd be a lot of fun. I think we should I think Will and I should both get shredded and then do a collab. I need to find somebody who would be a good guy to do a collab with if we were both shredded. Like what would who should I like time that up with? You can't eat 10,000 cals. Bro is very new here. Bro is not familiar with my Thanksgivings. Clark Kent, he's always lean. Jeff Nippard, that'd be a fun one. Jeff would be a fun one. He'd make me look really bad. Nah, Mundy refuses to get shredded. It's honestly kind of annoying. I've been trying to get him to compete, and he won't do it. Guys, everybody who's in this chat, your job for the next long period of time is every time Mundy posts, tell him that he needs to compete in bodybuilding. Don't tell him it came from me. Like, just, like, don't say anything about this, right? Don't say anything about this live. Just, like, I just want you guys to spam him hard in his comment section that he needs to compete. No, you can't clip it. Mundy can't know it came from me. He will unfriend me. Lex or me on stage? Lex. Sorry, I don't know why it took me so long to answer that. Lex, very clearly. Bro, we don't want to get banned. He blocks people like he's swatting. Make another account. Do it on your alt. So if he bans you, you're good. Why do I have to think of all the solutions? My goodness. Unk just said unfriend. Yes. Because I'm talking literal. Like, he would unfriend me. Like, we are friends. He would unfriend me. Stop being my friend. Just buy a house solution? What? That doesn't even make any sense. Who won the lat debate? Between who? Because I've seen various people debate the lats. Who are we talking about? Guys, it's not a Facebook term. I'm not referring to Facebook. I don't use Facebook. I'm talking about... No, unfortunately. Unfortunately, he did not respond. Well, he did on other things, but he didn't respond when I said that I would get him shredded. I was like, bro, just reach out and we'll make it happen. Actually, let me make sure. That just reminded me. Let me make sure. Because sometimes messages go to requests. So if he actually did and I just had ghosted him, I would feel really bad. Let's see. Nope. Nothing. I need to make that happen, guys, somehow. The lat debate was Yo versus Jackson and Mundy. Oh. As far as I know, that was just like a live where people were just kind of like joking around. Make another BP style science-based video? Bro, I'm going to make 1 billion of those. You have no idea. I think the Blackpill movement is hilarious. Like, and the fact that some people take it seriously, I also find hilarious. It's like it is just I find those things so funny. I don't know why. But it's like You know, like when you have that thing that's stupid humor and for some reason you just find it hilarious? That's what Blackpill is. Oh. I still don't fully understand what the black pill movement even is. All right. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but this seems to be the general tenets of the black pill movement. Basically, looks and genetics for those looks determine all. But through very careful manipulation, you can get the most out of yourself. And they rank into humans based on their overall features. And like they have like PSL scores, which I don't even know what that stands for, but I just see them refer to PSL scores all the time. And then they have like different rankings for like true Chad, true Adam, low tier normie, high tier normie. Somebody said that I was a high tier normie the other day, and I was like, yes, let's go. But it's an interesting crowd. So we're calling looks maxing black pill now? No, it's I don't know. They kind of go together from what I've seen. Maybe I'm wrong. Bro is actually so tapped in. I'm telling you, like, I could probably go through my For You page and within like 4 videos would be on some black pill edit of some sort. It's I just find it hilarious. Let me see. Let me see. No. Oh my gosh, how many things did I look up? Do you hear that? One scroll. One scroll is all it took. All right, couple soccer. Joey Swole, he's been all over my For You page recently. Planet of the Apes edits. If you've not seen Planet of the Apes edits, Koba edits go hard. Koba edits go hard. Anyways, what do I think about the Joey Swole stuff? I mean, it's just it is, to put it, what's the best way to say this? It's a little bit poetic watching somebody who built their entire platform on canceling people, watching people attempt to cancel him at the first possible opportunity. It's very funny. But it's just, yeah, I don't know. I think, like, honestly, I think cancel culture in general is stupid. Like these I've seen people legitimately have their lives just like upended over the most minor things. I'm not saying his stuff is minor. I'm just talking about in general. And I'm like, oof. Like, bro, when you're somebody who spends your entire life calling out other people for their behavior, you have to be so careful with what you do. And nah, you're Chad light. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. No, I can't reach those. So like if you take a look here, do you see this? Like when I this little like fat pad right here, when I am not super lean, that comes out really strong and then like I get like a puffy face and it like changes my entire look. I have to be like quite lean to have like very solid jaw structure and everything. So only when I'm lean can I even be considered like a mid-tier normie or like a high-tier normie, you know? Joey Swole unfollowed you? What? No way. Joey, how could you? How could you? He was never following me. I don't know where that person got that he unfollowed me. A peasant normie, to be fair. Would you press a button to gain 10 pounds of muscle, but you go perma bald? 10 pounds is a lot. If I gained 10 pounds of muscle, that would put me above the range where people would defend me as a natural. So if I could gain 10 pounds of muscle just to have my hair gone, I probably would take it because it would create so much controversy that it would be worth it. And I can always wear a wig. When will you wear wigs? Have you worn wigs? Nobody knows what reference that is. TNF mass unfollowing August 1st. Why? What'd I do? What'd I do? It's okay, Unc. We know you're wearing one right now. True. Best split if I can only work out Monday to Friday. Any split that takes 5 days. Oh, I'm going to lose it. Oh, bro, just any split that takes 5 days. That's it. Don't overthink it. If you were to rank your genetics, where would you put them? Which genetics? So you got to be more specific. So you got to ask very specific questions because genetics can refer to a wide variety of features. So we got to get a little more specific there. Is a thermic effect of food something worth to consider, or is it negligible? It depends on how extreme you go. Chest and tries. So my chest, not great. Tries, pretty darn good. Lat flare, horrible. Probably like a 1. Maybe not a 1. I've seen worse. So we'll give it a 2. If an exercise makes you more set for set than the other, is that a proxy for stimulus? More set for set. Do you mean sore on a set per set basis? More what? Set for set. Would you say you have a small rib cage? No. Yeah, I saw somebody say that the other day. They were like, I have a theory that good genetics are, and they just showed a bunch of guys doing a vacuum, and they pointed to the rib cage, and I was like, bro, that's what everybody's rib cage looks like when they pull a vacuum. Like, what are we talking about here? More sore. I wouldn't say soreness. I wouldn't say soreness as automatically a proxy for growth, no. Because there's lots of things I can do to get more sore that aren't going to cause me to grow more. Now, I'm not saying sore, like I think people have completely neglected soreness, which I think what happens is sometimes people get a little bit hasty. So they'll hear things like, okay, mind muscle connection is not the most important thing for muscle growth. And then they'll run with it and be like, mind muscle connection, there's no reason to like ever use it. It's stupid. It's like, well, I mean, I still think mind muscle connection can be helpful as a feedback loop, especially when you're dealing with like unilateral, sorry, not unilateral, when you're dealing with more isolated work. It can definitely like give you a little bit of understanding as to what you're doing and make you be able to hone in a little bit more to make sure that you're not bringing other things into the movement. Same thing with soreness, where I'm like, okay, people are so quick to dismiss soreness that it's like they don't ever think about the fact that maybe soreness does tell you a little bit, which I would think a soreness does tell you a little bit. Is it going to be the be all end all? Of course not. So I don't know. I think people get a little bit too hasty with their judgments. You're the only person I've seen, even in the science base, to say Bulgarians are overrated. Do you stand by that? I 100% stand by that. Yeah. Like, it doesn't make... I think what happened was this. I don't know why, but the science-based community got really into Bulgarians for a little while back in like the early 2000s. Like the guys who were more science-based were like, oh, Bulgarians are like the leg exercise. And so what happened was, I think what happened is that just kind of carried over, and nobody wanted to admit that they were wrong. So they were like, well, we have to like continue to say that Bulgarians are like the exercise. Now, I'm not saying that you can't do great with Bulgarians. Of course you can, but you can do great with lots of exercises. And I don't think Bulgarians are by any means a requirement for a solid training program. Bulgarians are nice people. I guess so. Smith machines are much better than free weight. Way, way better. 100%. No, like I like when I see people do Bulgarians, especially like people who consider themselves to be like more intelligent programmers, and I see them do it with like dumbbells. I'm like, why? Why? You have a fixed bar that you could use for the exercise. Why on earth would you use free weights? Doesn't make any sense. Da, 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 da. My favorite exercises is 3 sets of TNF reel scrolls. Nice. Is flat press with your elbows tucked going to target more upper pecs? It's so like I think sometimes people will be like, oh, well, it's like that's an upper chest exercise. Like it's going to lend itself more towards the upper chest than if you didn't keep your arms in. But I think what happens is people are like, oh, well, that means that doesn't work. The middle chest. It's like, no, the chest kind of works as a unit. It's pretty much always going to be, if there's any sort of adduction whatsoever, then the entire chest is going to work. But the question is, all right, is this going to be a little bit more upper chest oriented than this is? And the answer would be yes. I know he's seen my comment. I probably just annoyed him. Bro, I have no clue who you are. Do you think that training wrist flexion and extension will yield any noticeable results for the forearms? Yes. I find guillotine bench is a goat chest exercise. Why don't enough people do it? Because there was a very big fear for a long time that everybody was scared about their shoulders getting destroyed, and it became this very common thing to say that guillotine presses destroy your shoulders because people were using weight that they had no business using, and they didn't build it up slowly over time. Because of that, what you had was you had a bunch of people who fearmongered guillotine presses into the point where people just assume that it's a bad exercise now. It's a pretty crazy thing. The real question is if an upper pec press or fly could train the costal pec close enough to failure. It's a good question. It's one that I have considered myself. I've spent many a waking hour considering that same question. But I mean, if we're being completely honest, like I got a lot going on down here, so I don't really need to worry about the lower portion of the chest. Or I should say I don't need to figure out if my costal pecs are getting enough work, because they're getting a lot of work. We have families. What do you mean by down here? I mean down here. Down here. Just do multiple chest exercises, problem solved for everyone. That's what I've been saying, man. Do you notice any significant difference when you started low to high cable flies? In terms of development, it's like once you get to a certain point, it's very, very hard to notice extreme differences in your physique until you get very lean. So let's put it this way. If I have the ability, let's say I'm, I don't know, 8 years into training. Let's just make it a nice number like 8. If I'm 8 years into training and I have the capability of gaining 2 to 3 pounds of muscle in a year, in a good year, then that is going to be so evenly distributed throughout my body that the chances that I am going to notice specifically chest growth and be able to like be 100% sure that it's chest growth and not just me looking at it in different lighting or something like that while being bulked up, the chances of that are like next to nothing. It's just very, very hard to tell. Now, I do feel like and this is going to completely contradict everything I just said. It's like I do feel that there seems to be more substance in general in my chest area than there has been in years previous. But again, that could just be pure placebo. It's possible. Is it sad feeling like you're at the end of the line? Honestly, not really. It's just kind of like, it is what it is. I'm not a very emotional guy. So it's like when like, because there's same thing with like soccer, right? When I football for the people who are from overseas, football. Um, if you take a look at like when I finished up playing, people are like, "Oh, do you miss it?" I'm just like, honestly, sometimes I forget I played. Like it's just like I'm at a different stage in my life. So now I lift. Oh no, like you're at the end of like you're getting close to the end of your like your natural gains. I'm like, okay, cool. Whatever. Now we move on to the next thing. That's always the way I've been. 9:32 EST, by the way. Well, I'm in Central Time, so. Am I going to the World Cup? Hopefully. Would like to. The next thing is gear. Sure. I mean, I probably will take some substances that aren't allowed in natural organizations eventually, but as far as like what real gear users would consider gear, sorry, I doubt it. So like if we're talking harder substances and like more of your androgenic substances like Primo, Deca, Masteron, Tren, like I don't think I'll ever get on those things, but testosterone in the future, why not? Retatrutide in the future, why not? Like the things that could actually possibly benefit my health in the long run, I have no issue with. I think BPC is really not natty regardless of WADA. Well, I mean, WADA banned it, so it wouldn't really matter. For extra gains, so the testosterone would just be like for overall health optimization. Like, if you are somebody who's smart about the way you use testosterone, it's almost never going to be unhealthy and is could be healthier depending on how you use it. Like obviously, I'm not talking like 600 megs, right? 600 megs. I'm not talking go do full blown cycles. I'm talking like using it a little bit just to supplement with, and then you take a look at things like retatrutide. Retatrutide does seem to, the more we learn about it, the more it seems like it has multiple positive health effects. Like a lot of people just view it as a fat loss supplement, but it does also seem to be pretty good at helping with blood sugar regulation, possibly even lipid profiles. Like it's like it's getting harder and harder to deny that retatrutide could just be a general good health supplement for people. Apart from protein, are collagen peptides a scam for hair, nails, etc.? It's kind of mixed, right? So there's some stuff that shows that it seems to be efficacious. There's others that are like, oh no, as long as you get enough proteins, probably not. I'm just gonna go ahead and say like I'm on the fence. It's possible, but not to the point where I'm gonna be going out of my way for collagen peptides. Is it optimal to smear a tub of Vaseline on my face? Very optimal. Adderall is banned in bodybuilding. I would assume so. I mean, like, it's clearly not banned in untested organizations, but I would assume that it's banned in natural. Adderall banned in natural bodybuilding. Yep. Opinion on Brad Schoenfeld's research. Schoenfeld's research. It depends on the research, right? So I mean, I'm always a fan of more research. So I think sometimes what happens is people will be like, "Oh, I don't like the way that this person does their stuff." I'm like, I mean, as long as I can read the study, I really don't care. Like, you can do it however you want. Now, I do remember him releasing a particular study and me like critiquing the study, and I was like, if you wanted to make it better, this is what you should do. This is how you should design the protocol, etc. And then I later watched a video of him talking in an interview, and when he was talking in the interview, he like made a reference to people critiquing the study design, a certain study design of one of his studies, and it very much sounded like when he started describing it that he was referring to me, and I'm like, there's no way, because like I'm like the critiques I made were perfectly valid. I was like, you could have done it better, but who knows? It could have just been coincidence. Adderall would be a very useful drug for bodybuilders despite not building muscle. Well, I mean, lots of bodybuilders use Adderall. But there's also other. So I think what happens is sometimes people are like, oh, well, this would be useful. It's like, well, yeah, but there might be another substance that does a similar thing that just does it better. And that's what you're seeing with things like retatrutide, right? So retatrutide has actually been replacing quite a few health supplements for enhanced bodybuilders. Like every enhanced bodybuilder that I work with right now is on retatrutide. Everyone? Yeah. Landon Miller is better than Tren Baby, by the way. I don't know who that is. Do you believe one day steroids will no longer have side effects? And if you do, how long will it take for us to reach that? So, yes and no, because it all depends on what you mean by steroids. So, steroids, by their mechanisms of action, can easily lead to issues if overdone. Because what it really comes down to is it's more so about dosing than it is about them being harmful in and of themselves, like immediately. So what happens is if you're trying to get enough effects from the drugs in order to get the outcomes that you're looking for, you're probably willing to push the envelope when it comes to health. And that's where people get confused because they're like, oh, well, could steroids be healthy? It's like, well, I mean, there's a steroid right now that's already healthy. It's called testosterone, and it is healthy if you use it appropriately. The problem is most people are not using it appropriately because they understand dose higher equal more muscle, and that's the reason they're using it. So like we already have steroids that are healthy. It's just most people are not going to use those steroids in a healthy manner. Do carbs affect soreness? That's a good question. That is a good question because I think I saw somewhere recently where they found that the people who were intaking higher carbs had less soreness after doing the same activity. So I'd have to look into the mechanisms behind it and make sure it wasn't a false positive. But I thought that there was a study that came out with that said something similar, but I could be just completely off. Do fats affect soreness? So if fats affect soreness, I would guess the reason that fats would affect soreness would mostly be due to the ability to help with relaxation and recovery. So I'll give you an example. When I'm dealing with people who are prepping for a bodybuilding show, obviously one of the things that gets tough is sleep, especially once you get to the really lean body fats. But what I have often found is with these people, if they are struggling with their sleep habits, what we'll often do is we'll often send them off to bed with a higher fat intake. So let's say they have 50 to 60 grams to work with in a day for their fat intake. Often what I'll have them do is I'll be like, well, make sure you save 30 grams of fat for before you go to bed. And they'll actually have 30 grams of fat along with whatever protein source they have, like right before going to bed. And it will help them a little bit with their latency. And due to that, I would guess that there could be ways in which to manipulate fats in order to help with soreness, but it would be mostly from a enhanced sleep, helping with recovery standpoint. Do you get colder as you get leaner? 100%. I was living in Texas the last time I got shredded, and by the time I was getting close to stage, I would literally wear multiple hoodies and sweatpants, as well as getting under very thick blankets to go to bed. You'll also notice that one and super interesting thing, if you eat, so like if you're super lean and you like there's weird things that you start to learn about your body. If you I didn't vault frontal plane pulls, the community did. I don't know what we're talking about right now. Anyways, no, I noticed something for myself that when I get to a point where I'm very, very lean, if I consume a large amount of volume, whether that's through liquid or salads or something else, then what happens is the blood, you'll actually start to get cold due to the digestive process of that stuff. So like everything will kind of like center in, and because you're already very lean, like I would go to bed and my hands would be like ice cold. It's pretty crazy. So it's what I imagine death feels like. But is it possible to never fully recover from a show in terms of testosterone levels? Maybe, maybe, but I've not seen it before. Um, so I can't say for sure. Favorite micro influencer. Favorite micro influencer. Who is my favorite micro influencer? I don't know. I don't know. Will getting shredded tank your cholesterol? Um, Funny story. So I have generally relatively high cholesterol. Just genetically, my cholesterol stays pretty high. The lowest cholesterol reading I ever had was when I was like, I think I was like 3 weeks out from show. So, yep. I would say that from what I've noticed, was that when it was? I feel like that's what happened. Or was it the it was so it was like this. So when I got lean, but was very low on carbs, my cholesterol actually went up. But then when I got like super shredded, then I think it tanked. So it was like a curve, right? So it like went up when I was on very low carb, but like getting leaner. But then when I got really lean, despite still being low carb, it started to tank down, I think. I'd have to look at the overall fluctuation, but I can't remember exactly what it was. Yes, Jeff Nippert is my favorite micro influencer. Dude, Eli, I'm gonna tell you straight up, just get lucky. That's it. No cheat code to go viral. Just get lucky. What? Now I need to see what Eli asked. Because it sounds like Sombrero's just um a dummy. Yo, TNF, I'm 15. I have a very good physique. How can I make a living out of social media by making gym content? I'm basically asking how to go viral. Oh, okay. So you have to actually start planning your content. And when I say planning it, I don't mean that you need to have the most well-crafted content in the world. But what you do need to do is you need to start actually analyzing your content. You need to take a look and say, okay, what is it that my audience actually responds well to? What do they not respond well to? Start taking outside views. So when I take a look at my profile, right, the first thing I'm going to take a look at if I'm trying to figure out whether my profile is in a good state or not is I'm going to go and take a look and say, all right, what's my overall engagement look like on my videos in general? So I take a look for my last like 9 videos. So like 150,000 views, 120,000 views, 1.3 million views, 135,000 views, 290,000 views, 230,000 views, 220,000 views, 551. It's like, okay, that's good. Like for even for me, like that's pretty good. So it's like my overall health of my account is very, very solid. But what's going to happen is, especially when you're in the early stages, is you're going to start to see your numbers kind of settle out around a bit of a range. It'll be somewhere around like 200 to 400 in most cases. It might even be a little bit lower. But then what you'll find is okay, there's a video that made it out to like 900 or like 1200 people. Even if it doesn't go viral, that's still viral for you relative to your account standing. So what you do is you say, okay, was there a reason that went, or was it just kind of a random piece of content? Was there something different about that? And then you start to analyze things. Then all of a sudden you get a video that gets like 6,000 views and you're like, why did that one get 6,000 views? Meanwhile, these other ones didn't. Could be a fluke, but it could also be because it actually was somewhat more relatable to people, a little bit more engaging to people. So then you start to analyze stuff over time, but you can only do that if you have enough volume going through your account. So if you're going through your account and you're posting like once every like 4 days or so, and you're like, oh yeah, well, I hope to get there one day. Yeah, good luck. You're already screwed. So you should be posting multiple times a day. You should be analyzing those. And then what you need to do is you need to develop a database to figure out what it is your audience is getting attached to. How can you be more relatable to your audience? Are you being entertaining? Are you providing value? Are you providing humor? What is it that you're actually doing for your audience that's going to cause them to stick around? If you were to go through your account and you were to scroll through it and you saw that piece of content actually come up on your own For You page, would you stop and look at it? Probably not. Why is that? What do those things have on your For You page that your account does not? What are they providing that you're not providing? And then you start to bring things into your own account. Then you start to see things start to do better and you're like, okay, well, I'm still missing something. It's like, and then you start to analyze a little bit deeper and you start to say, okay, is it my delivery? Is it my tone? Is it my overall camera settings? Usually people think it's far too often about their physique. It's really not about your physique. It's about how you can actually reach people. And if you think about it that way, rather than being like, hey, I'm 15, I have a great physique. How can I do this for a living? Yeah, nobody cares that you have a great physique. Everybody has. Like, there's tons of great physiques out there. It's not enough to separate you. The only way that would be the case is if you're like a Mr. Olympia. And even in that case, most of the time, their accounts overall suck unless somebody else does it for them. So stop trying to rely on your physique. I'm going to just copy your content. Bad idea. So whenever you're trying to figure out how to get better as far as your content goes, you don't want to look at somebody who's already in the sphere where they've like kind of made it. Because I'll give you like my face in and of itself at this point, what are you doing? My face in and of itself at this point can be considered a hook because enough people in this sphere know who I am. So like people will use me for their own content because they know if they use my face in their content or my name in their content, it can actually make their content go larger. That's not the type of person that you want to follow in terms of figuring out like how you're going to get your content to go somewhere, because you're going to have to work a little bit harder for it. You have to say, okay, well, what did that person do in the beginning of their account? Maybe you start looking at old videos of mine, figuring out things that I did, but now that might be outdated. So you have to look at, okay, what are the smaller accounts who are actually getting good engagement right now doing? So if you take a look at accounts, if you take a look at some of the science-based lifter accounts, look for the ones that have less overall followers, but still get high quality engagement. And those are going to give you a much better perspective into the types of things that you can do to start getting yourself engagement. So somebody like the dog, I guess. Unc wants to see us all eat. No, I really do. To be completely honest, I love seeing people succeed. Like it's like I think what happens is a lot of times, what you'll have is this. This was something that was very, very. When I was on my way up through the ranks, I was invited to I was invited to this one client of mine. He owned a very large company, but he wanted to bring in a bunch of people from similar backgrounds in life just to like for like a VIP event. I was like the least VIP out of like everybody. Everybody was like CEOs of these major corporations, and he brought me in. Sorry, he brought me in to speak to the group as his resident nutrition specialist. That was what he referred to it as. So I came in, I did my speech to them and everything, but he also brought in another guy who was like a bit more of a motivational speaker. And this guy's a very successful person in his businesses, his life, and he now goes around the world, kind of like a Tony Robbins, but like a little bit lower scale, obviously. And the one thing he said that, like, or I shouldn't say the one thing, he said a bunch of things that really stuck with me that really changed my mindset on things. But one thing that he said was people who are truly successful are wanting to give away their knowledge. People who actually have been there and have succeeded, if you go up to them and you ask them how to like make something happen, how to get better, they're eager to share that knowledge. And it's 100% true. Because once you feel like you're in a comfortable spot where you feel like you've actually accomplished what it is you're trying to accomplish, you are looking for opportunities to give some of that knowledge away. It's a very, very good feeling to be able to help people when you see that they're somebody who really wants to get better. You always like coaching the coachable kid, right? And that's the way it goes with everything. It's not just in sports. It's also with social media content. It's with life advice, whatever else. I know Baskin Robbins only. Unk thinks his chat knows who Tony Robbins is. Well, you guys, see, the thing is, I know that I can say whatever I need to, and you guys have the internet, so you guys can just go look it up. When I pass the bar, can we exchange coaching for legal advice? I don't really need legal advice at the moment. I'm going to be completely honest with you. But maybe in the future, if I need legal advice, we'll see. Just like sharing gym knowledge to a newbie. Exactly. Exactly. All right, guys, I should probably get going. I'll sue TNF, then he'll need you. All right, guys, I got to get going, but it's been fun. Man, we've been here for a while now. I was only planning on being on here for like an hour. I think it's been like 2. Oof. But I need to go to sleep. I need to get some food, then I need to go to sleep. But guys, it has been a pleasure. And as always, love you guys. Appreciate you guys. I will try to do more of these. TNF out. I'm just having fun with you. All right.